Go live on the talk.
Go live on the talk. We ready.
Beyond.
We ready.
Drafting
The hell
now.
is good, y'all, man. Hey, talking special edition of the Gods Cast today. We got a familiar face. He's back. He's back.
Back,
We got
baby.
He's back,
we
dog.
gotta acknowledge it. Bob Parmar back in the house. The fake God. What's good, bro?
Oh, yeah, man! I had to come back and show y'all how to really get it in. So we back, we in full effect, man. A little hiatus and it's good. Let's get this bread.
A little hiatus,
And
and we
good to have
back.
you back, Provide. We missed you at the end of the day. Whatever you had going on, we're throwing that out the window, bro. You're back. Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go,
get
on, baby.
hard and heavy. Guys are following us on TikTok, man. Thanks for joining us. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter at the Fantasy Gods. Follow us there if you want to see the old but new God Probot. And of course, me and Justin Henry here to help you guys out. Today, we're going to be talking about our Twitter Content Creator League. We're going to be talking about our likes, our dislikes, who has the best team so far. We are in round 8 of 30, 12 team, 6 point per touchdown passing, which is upped from the original 4. PPR, Superflex, Dynasty. Man, a
A
mouthful.
little unusual, huh? With that 6-point TD.
A little unusual.
It caused an insane run early on quarterbacks, which let some stars fall. So
It
you know,
did.
I ain't
You know
mad.
what? And what I'll do is I'll kind of just go off of the first round. I know they want us to do the teams. We can do the teams afterward, but let's talk about this draft in the first round. I'll go into the picks. The first pick off the board was Josh Allen. Next was Jonathan Taylor. Then Pat Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow at the 5 spot, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Russell Wilson. Guys, what were your thoughts on that? Because to me, it was. Oh, sorry. In the
And
last one, I
Deshaun
forgot
Watson too.
Deshaun
Yep.
Watson. Deshaun Watson there. What were your guys' thoughts overall on that first round? Because to me, it seemed like you said, Prabat, just QB heavy overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's from my perspective because I'm in the 9 hole. I'm seeing all of these QBs go off, and you got to make a decision whether you want to reach on a QB or you want to take a number one position or number one play at another position, right? So, I thought there were some QBs that may fall back to me that I could feel comfortable with. So I ended up going receiver right there.
Yeah.
Here's a look. Yeah, here's a look at the total
For
draft
me,
so far. Dan, sorry, yours are a little hidden right there.
yeah. No worries. We're good. Hide my team. No, just kidding. I think it's kind of a given. When you see the scoring system is tiered with that 6 point per passing touchdown, the QBs are heavily weighted. Now, in most of our drafts, we kind of strongly suggest that you kind of fade the QB in regular drafts because big time receivers, big time running backs are going to kind of score on pace with the QBs. They just usually are. Now it really favors the QBs. You really have to have one stud and a solid number 2 in Superflex. So it's weird to see kind of different strategies go. But in the first round, I'm shocked at number 2 still. Although he's my boy, Jonathan Taylor was the number 2 pick. I still think that was a bad move for TJ. I think that although he's great, he's a talent. I think Jonathan Taylor. I've been on the show saying Jonathan Taylor is the next 2,000-yard rusher in the league. He will be that guy. But I think in this league, you had to have picked either Mahomes or Herbert there at number 2. That was one of my biggest things in round 1.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I like, for me, I was sitting at the 3 spot with Herbert and Mahomes, so I got to pick my choice out of both of them. Thank you, TJ, for that. But I'm not too mad at the strategy because you see later, one of the surprising picks for me was CeeDee Lamb, man. Especially in this league where it is 6 points per TD, to see him go ahead of a name we haven't said yet, even to right now in this spot. We haven't said Jamar Chase. He didn't go in the first round. So to see CeeDee Lamb go over Jamar Chase was a little surprising. I believe in the talent of CeeDee Lamb. But to me, And we know Will, you know what I'm saying? He might be a little bit of a Cowboy fan or something, you know. But he picked CeeDee Lamb, and I'm not sure that it was necessarily biased. It was just very surprising to see him over Jamar Chase.
Very much so. I mean, like if you think about it, CeeDee Lamb's ceiling, it would be what? It would be Jamar Chase, right? So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think he could have came back and got him around in the second round too. But I mean, hey, honestly, if you like your guys, that's a big part of fantasy as well. You know, pick who you like and rock with them. So.
Yeah, and then coming around in the second round, Dan, you know, obviously 6 quarterbacks or 6 points per TD. You stack the QBs, man. You got Deshaun Watson and then Stafford to lead the second round. What were your thoughts there? Because to me, especially with Jamar Chase on the board, I was kind of surprised you went Stafford there. But I understand. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. So how I looked at it was this. You know, obviously the top quarterbacks are taken straight up. They're taken. It's really, it wasn't a surprise for me when I got the 12th pick last couple weeks on when we did it a couple days ago. I knew I was in trouble. I knew that just picking from the 12th spot is probably the hardest to do, in my opinion. I think, you know, having a pick anywhere between, you know, 1 to 107 is pretty good. It's pretty solid. I think you're going to get, you know, talent. But my thought process was this: simply the last of the remaining elite guys for the next 2 to 3 years, I felt was on a level of weapons, contracts, in a sense, age. So when I went Watson, I felt like, okay, you got Amari Cooper locked in. Donovan Peoples-Jones is trending up. David Bell, who is kind of a late round rookie sleeper of mine that I kind of like. Njoku's coming on the farm. They got Chubb, they got Hunt, they got a lot of weapons in that division, and in that division's tough. So they're gonna be throwing. And to me, I think Deshaun Watson really gives you. He's a top 5 quarterback. When he played a full season, he was scoring top 5. He put in 3 consecutive top 5 seasons. So we know he's good. The Browns,
yeah, he's a superstar for sure.
Fully guaranteed contract. So I looked at that. I was like, look, talent and money, Deshaun, and weapons, all 3 of them, I went Deshaun Watson. Now, the second time around, I was like, you know what? Stafford, again, contract, weapons. I mean, he's got everything that you're looking for. He's elite. We know this now, outside of his time in Detroit. So we've always said, and look, just give him a team. Just give him a team and see what happens. And sure enough, this dude puts in a top 5 season. So I'm digging Stafford. Give me all the points, 6 passing touchdowns, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Straight up.
And then P coming through the rest, obviously you see Kelsey and Aaron Rodgers went off the board. A little surprising, Aaron Rodgers, but not really getting the QB. But then the trade, man, P, it was your pick, and the first trade happened of the Dynasty League. You can see all the trades notated there by player. But P, man, talk about the deal that was.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's, you know, just going back to like my first pick at 109. I was thinking like, hey, okay, I can grab a top wide receiver, and I was debating between Trey Lance and Deshaun Watson, and I was thinking, okay, well, you know, I got about 6 picks before my next pick. I could grab one of those guys, right? And Stafford was up there too. So, but you know, you got Russell Wilson at the 11th spot, then you got back-to-back Watson and Stafford. And I was, you know, and then Aaron Rodgers went, and then Jamar Chase fell to me, and I was really deciding, hey, should I get these gritty brothers? Can I stack them like that? And then I was approached by Lobo here, and you know, because he has Burrow, he picked him at the 1.5, and he was really trying to get that stack, and that's probably the best dynasty stack, right? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So my thought process was, okay, the guys behind me, if I move back 4 spaces, everybody already has a QB. And I got Trey Lance right there. I mean, let's see how much Lobo really wants to get that stack. I mean, something like that, you got to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So we're in discussions. A future. So I picked up a future first. I also got a 5th-round pick in exchange for my 10th, and I thought that was good enough, right? I thought that was good enough to
He came up.
pay
He
for that
came up,
stack.
dog. He paid for the player, which he valued, instead of it being valued at a 2nd-round pick, he valued it as a 1st-round pick, which you should have
I mean,
with
yeah,
Jamar
it's
Chase
Jamar
there,
Chase.
man. And yeah, and just coming around, obviously you see some of the picks there, but to me, a very similar slide with Najee Harris. I didn't want to take, to be honest, I didn't want to take a running back at that spot, but Najee fell to me, and I felt like getting one of the best young backs in the game right now was almost a no-brainer at that point. Even though, Roto got my guy Saquon, but I probably wouldn't even have taken him at that point. Najee kind of being there, it really changed my whole draft strategy, because I came in quarterback, wide receiver was going to be my game plan. So, and then we wrap around, man. Was there anything in the 3rd round that stuck out to you, Dan? Obviously you can see the players on the board. Was there anything that stuck out to you?
Yeah, in the 2nd round, I thought, Prabat, I think for me, I'm like, you better hope Trey Lance is that dude.
Yeah.
That he was probably the one where I'm like, we don't know. He's the only unknown in that round, right? Because we've seen Javonte Williams when he got the carries, he was good. We kind of seen that. Yeah. We've seen Hurts be a top quarterback fantasy wise. He may not be an actual talent at the quarterback position, but fantasy is going to be fine. And they added AJ Brown, so I kind of get TJ's selection there. But Trey Lance, it's all on faith at this point, because we've seen a couple games, but with quarterbacks, for me, I really need a year. I need 1 to 2 years to really evaluate, is this guy good or is this guy not? And of course he has the elite upside of really a Herbert. At the end of the day, that is his ceiling. Now his floor is way down there. It's just, we just don't know. So hopefully that one hits. But in the 3rd round, no, I don't really have anybody that's really a standout except for Brett's pick of Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is a little bit early for that rookie to be picked. Again, it's the same thing of Trey Lance. To me, it's you've never seen this guy. How do we know? And again, Breece has all the measurables that a Jonathan Taylor had when he came out in 2020. And so I understand why Breece is being touted as the next Taylor. But even Taylor, when he was a rookie, and even in startups Dynasty, he wasn't going this high. So to me, he's coming on to the Jets. The Jets are still a dysfunctional organization. They still haven't proven anything. That one, to me, for Brett, it was a big reach and something I wouldn't have done.
Yeah, just to comment on the Trey Lance thing. Obviously, I'm a huge Niners fan, right? But even past that, you look at what we gave up to get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Niners are clearly invested in the guy, right? Yeah, you got the Garoppolo still kind of hanging in the shadows. We're not sure what's going on. I think that they'll trade him. I don't think he's really that much of a factor. But you also you also consider that he's got a guru, right? Shanahan really behind the play calling. You really got a top 5 or 6, a set or core of weapons around him, right? You got Debo All-Pro, you got an All-Pro Kittle, you got an All-Pro left tackle. It's probably one of the best setups that you can have as a young guy coming in. And he's got the arm talent. He can run. So last time Shanahan had a good quarterback, he was the MVP, right? Matt Ryan, right? So it is what it is. He has a huge ceiling. He does have a low floor, but sometimes you got to take those chances.
Yeah. And I think it's a good pick, man. And it's just risk averse. It's how risky do you want to be in the first 2 rounds? And I think Trey Lance, to me, is somebody with so much upside that the risk is worth it. He's the guy that is a top 5 pick here. If he hits, he's a top 5 pick for the next 5 years. That's what kind of player he is. He's Lamar Jackson-esque. That's if he hits, Josh Allen-esque. But if he doesn't hit, obviously you missed. And so that's the risk you take, man. Let's hop through before we get to these individual teams. So I know the guys in the league, they're like, hey, rate the teams. Let's just go through round by round and talk about maybe one thing that kind of threw you off, or maybe that you want to highlight as a win. I'm going to go in the 4th round here. and we saw one of the first rookie receivers off the board, Drake London. And I like that pick, man. I like Drake London. To me, I don't normally take rookies that early. But to me, I think that'll be a good fit once they get a quarterback. So for somebody, it looks like Lobo's trying to build out his squad for the next 3 to 5 years. I kind of like taking London. It might have been a little too early for my personal taste, but I wasn't mad at the pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fade that. No, absolutely not. I'm not taking Drake London. I'm hating Drake London as a prospect for receivers. To me, he can't be an elite guy. To me, when I watch him on tape, he is just he out jumps you, and that's about it. To me, that's like a Plexico Burress, Kelvin Benjamin type of player. And to me, the alpha male on that team is still Kyle Pitts. And Kyle Pitts is going to be the guy that they go to in the red zone. To me, I'm a big hater on Drake London. And USC wide receivers has still not proven really anything. The last one, Juju Smith-Schuster. Again, I'm fading Drake London, and with Mariota and Ritter, I'm not that situation. Fade Drake London.
Yeah, I mean, they got no defense out there in Atlanta, so I think that they'll be playing from behind, which is in his favor. But that's about it, right? I mean, like just looking at the board.
Hating on London, I see.
I'm not. It's not even that I'm hating on. It's not even that I'm hating on him. But you take him when you could have a Kamara right there. You could have look at the people behind him, right? Terry McLaurin, you could have swooped up if you're looking at wide receiver. Mm-hmm. I think you could have waited on that. I mean, he could have came around to you. Oh, well, you didn't have a 5th round pick right there, but I mean, at the end of the day, you got to take your guy, right? So if that's his guy, then more power to you.
Yeah, and then coming around in the 5th round there was, we see a lot of the usual names, right? Terry McLaurin, George Kittle, Nick Chubb, Gibson. And then we get to the Zack Wilson pick. I made a little Zack Wilson hate video today. It didn't go too well on TikTok. They didn't like the Zack Wilson hate. You guys think Zack Wilson's a big upside type of quarterback? Like, was that a good spot for him?
I mean, with the run on quarterbacks, Zack Wilson probably has upside just where they picked him. You can see that they're clearly building around him. They're adding a lot of talent at wide receiver. And I mean, if you think about it, they themselves, Zack Wilson and the Jets, are going to be playing from behind a lot. So it could make for some big weeks, right? We could see. I guess we'll see what happens from year 1 to year 2.
Yeah. So for me, I think that, Zack Wilson, I think I get what Coach Bruce was doing at that slot. I think it's solid value, good upside as far as what I'm thinking. But Zack Wilson to me was a guy that I personally faded in the QB class. I just felt like, hey, it's the Jets, number one. And number two, he just didn't show up against good talent, in college. So if you can't play well in college, especially against good teams, how am I expecting you to play well against the pros? And last year, just wasn't something that really gave me excitement about. Now they've kind of surrounded him a little bit with some talent here and there with Wilson and Breece Hall and hopefully a few little low-end tight ends. But, I'm just not a big believer in Zack Wilson. I think that really he has an arm and he can run a little bit. But other than that, I can see, like I said, I can see where Coach Bruce is kind of the thought process was he's my QB2. He has upside. If he hits at all, he's a 2nd rounder in startup dynasty next year. So see what happens.
Y'all cleaned up with the Michael Pittman and Keenan Allen picks, though. I got to give you guys credit. Michael Pittman and Keenan Allen are in the back of the round. I can't be mad at that. The next round, though, to me is where like I think people are starting to reach for their guys. It starts to feel like. Obviously, Tom Brady, P. Talk a little bit about that, because to me, you probably could have waited a round or 2 on that, bro.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, okay, I got, I got my running back. The round before, I had a huge decision between like tight end, a running wide receiver 2, or even Kamara. Ultimately, went tight end and secured that up. So at that point, right, like I'm thinking like, okay, who's the best of the remaining bunch? And if I keep waiting, Is Brady going to get taken, right? In that draft trade I made, I got an additional first. So I can get Brady on his last hoorah. And, this quarterback class coming out next year, we can see what's going on with them, right? I can draft his replacement. But I just thought that he was a one remaining QB that has 35 plus touchdown potential, right?
You took a 45-year-old quarterback over a 21, 22-year-old quarterback in a dynasty league, bro. What the hell are you doing?
Man, sometimes you got to mix it up, man. You got to mix it up, baby. Like, I mean, it's Brady's last hurrah, right? He could go out guns blazing, but if you look at the rest of my team, right, I got a lot of youth on there, right? I got a lot of youth.
Look, stop the cap. Look, it's not Brady's last hurrah. He's got another 10 years. That's what you're thinking. That is what you're thinking. Okay, Brady is here to stay. He's not going anywhere. Let's get real.
Man, we had a dynasty league in 2015. I took Brady, and they were questioning if he was going to retire then. So,
hey man, you never know. If he plays till 50, then that's an auto dub right there for me. So let's get this bread, baby.
In the 7th round, my guy TJ, this one to me was a shocker. I seen Amon St. Brown go off the board, and to me, I was like, maybe before the draft, before free agency, I would have saw that. But afterward, that was a shocking pick. I love my guy TJ. But this one was a little confusing to me, man. Which I just don't see with Jamison Williams there now, and also them signing DJ Chark, DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson. Like, there's a lot of weapons there in Detroit, and not really a serviceable quarterback. Jared Goff's all right, but he's not gonna be able to funnel targets to 5 different passing options. To me, that was a little bit of a suspect pick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was a suspect pick for me too. I think he's more or less betting on the talent than actual situation with that pick, in my opinion. I think St. Brown is probably still the wide receiver one. I do like a Jamison Williams, but I don't believe that Jamison Williams can ever achieve a wide receiver one. I don't think he's just built that way. I don't think his game is tiered that way. So for me, I'm fading Jamison Williams in all rookie drafts. So that's number one for me. But number two, I think he's just taking what was available. St. Brown's young. Maybe he can get – I think St. Brown kind of gives you a position in which Jared Goff can thrive. Jamison Williams is going to be that deep guy. Clark's going to be that deep guy. But the underneath, that Z flanker, I think that's where St. Brown could thrive.
We saw 2 Lions receivers go off the board before 2 Rams receivers with Stafford, before 2 Chargers receivers with Herbert, before 2 Chiefs receivers, before 1 Chief receiver. Man,
it is crazy. I mean, with the whole St. Brown, he had a hot finish to the season last year. You could see that he was used a lot, similarly to how Debo was being used, right? He was running the rock. And taking a lot of those slants and whatnot, having a lot of yak right there. But,
TJ on TikTok saying St. Brown, the possession marvel, and he's going to be targeted the most. Book it in Detroit.
All right. I can't be mad at that.
Yeah,
I can't be mad at that.
You got some intel, baby. Go with your gut, baby.
Intel, I guess.
Go with your gut. And then Dan started off the round with a kaboom A-Rob in the 8th round. If you'd have asked that 2 years ago, people would have been like, how the hell did that happen? Dan, talk a little bit about that wraparound Michael Thomas A-Rob picks, man.
Yeah. So for me, I just wanted to, lock in I just wanted to lock in talent. I feel like at the receiver position, my top 5 can beat anybody else's top 5. And I'm specifically talking to Connor, since he is the taking all the wide receivers. I think that all of my receivers in Dynasty will beat out all of his. Even having a Deebo Samuel, I think that mine can match it. But I think that if Mike Thomas comes back healthy with Winston, and Olave taking a few of the double teams away from him, I think Mike Thomas can return to a top 10 status. I think he's proven the fact that in this league, he is an alpha receiver. He is a wide receiver one. We know this. It's just, can he get back from the pre-injury form? We don't know. Coaches are saying he's still got a few hurdles to do. But in the 7th, 8th round, to me, it's 7th, 8th, because, I'm picking 12. I just think that it's good value and kind of high upside. Also, I will say that I'm a hater because Justin sniped my 2 picks earlier. I was going to take Cooper. I don't know how
Oh, that
fell
stack.
that far. You guys are slacking and letting Justin just capitalize. But as far as the Allen Robinson one goes, to wrap it up, I just felt like I needed a stack. And what better stack can I get than Stafford and A-Rob? I think A-Rob was in a situation he didn't like. I think he was not giving him much effort. And I think that now he's happy. He picked his own spot. I think that Robert Woods gone, OBJ gone, a lot of vacant targets that he's going to soak up. And A-Rob's going to be that dude. So I could conceivably see a year, and we might have to quote this back, run it back, but I could see a year in which Allen Robinson is the number 1 receiver on the Rams in 2022. Book it.
Oh, smooth called this out, man. Said we aren't reading the chat. Sorry, we were so in. I was locked into this draft, man. I forgot to look at the comments. If you guys got comments on the draft, now's the time. We're gonna get into rating these teams in just a second. But Connor, with a little clapback, he said, "My guys are trending up. Dan guys are trending down because he has Cooper Kupp, Debo, Waddle, and Terry."
Wish. Look, Connor, we can the people watching can see your team. You don't need to say I have Cooper Kupp, Debo, Waddle, and Terry. It's just you don't even need to comment.
It's on the screen, baby. It's on the screen.
Man. So you know what? Let's rock with it. I'm gonna go to these. Try to get to these teams. I got to figure this thing out, man. I'm trying to figure out how to go. Bear with me here for just a second. So I'm gonna go to the teams. Can't look at the teams that way. Go to the draft room. Is there a way to show roster?
Can't you click on if you click on a team at the top?
Okay, like that.
Right.
Boom. There it is. All right, let's start here with disposable. What's his name? Disposable Coop, right?
Disposable Coop.
Disposable Coop. So first team, man. Josh Allen, Javonte Williams, AJ Brown, Tua, Kenneth Walker, Elijah Moore, and Elijah Mitchell, man. Got the Elijah brothers. What we thinking, guys?
Well, I think that I think that he has. To me, I think that he's got a lot of faith in Tua. Again, getting the weapon like a Tyreek Hill is always going to upgrade your quarterback. That's good, but is Tua that dude? When we saw him at Alabama before his injury, guy was just phenomenal. He was the left arm Drew Brees. That's what I remember him coming out. Very accurate, but was he that good, or did Alabama surround him with the talent to make him look good? With all of the Alabama receivers that were there. I'm not a big fan of Tua. I don't think Tyreek Hill can make him a better quarterback.
Well, they're kind of doing that now in Miami, right?
What's that?
Surrounding him with talent.
Yeah,
they're surrounding him right now, right?
And they did. So here's the thing. So now he has no excuse. But for me, a lot of people love Elijah Moore. I'm not there with that evaluation of. Everybody thinks he could be like this new Antonio Brown type of person, and I can't book that. I can't see it there. Elijah Mitchell for me, again, I think it's kind of a panic pick at that point at the end. With I think Shanahan can make any running back look good, so we'll see what happens. And they drafted another running back, Trey Sermon's still out there. I'm not feeling that one. So to me, picks I'm not feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable with Elijah Moore as my wide receiver 2. And keep in mind, in this league, you have to start 4 wide receivers, right? So as Elijah Moore is your wide receiver 2, and you still don't have a wide receiver 3 or 4 on the board, I mean, there's still some out there, but I guess we'll see. Obviously Josh Allen looks good. I like the Brown pick right there in the 3rd round. And as far as Tua goes, they are surrounding him with talent. I mean, he does have upside, but it's a question mark there. And what do you guys think about Walker right there in the 6th round?
Walker,
I noticed he was kind of falling.
He was falling. I think that was good value. Like when you look at value for the draft, that's where you want to kind of pick up rookie value is after they've fallen. Like Breece Hall went 3 rounds before that. And in drafts, Kenneth Walker's going in startups and rookie startups, he's going third or fourth. Drake London was like 2 or 3 rounds above that. So for me, I thought he got really good value out of Kenneth Walker. I'm not, like I said, I don't normally take rookies that high, but to me, the value was there, especially if you believe in the situation. Yeah. Speaking of rookies, Smooth's asking, when should Ritter and Pickett both be drafted? And so obviously neither of those guys have been drafted right now on our boards as we head to the next team. But rookie QBs, they've all kind of fallen here in our draft. You think it's the talent people are concerned about, or is it the rookie? We haven't seen these guys in a starting role that they're concerned about. Prabhat, what you think, man?
I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't too high on any quarterback coming out this year, right? I thought that the Steelers had reached on their guy. I'm just not high on any of these rookies coming out, right? Whereas if it was another draft with better prospects coming out, I think that they would have went a lot higher. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, none of them really stand out to me. So, I'm good with not taking any of them personally.
Yeah, we can see a free fall there. All right, TJ's team is up, Dan, and I want you to give it honest criticism since he's chilling with us. What's up, TJ? If y'all ain't following TJ, make sure y'all do it on Twitter. Disposable Coop as well on Twitter. This is the Twitter League, man. Y'all got to head to the Twitter, follow all these. These are dope content creators. By the way, we forgot to shout these guys out, man. These are dope content creators. All of them are on Twitter. Make sure you guys go follow the handles. Show them some love, man, if you guys are watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
But TJ's team, man, where you like? What you think?
So for me, I actually don't mind it. I just think the Matt Ryan pick was kind of puzzling to me. I think I would have probably gone somewhere differently. I wouldn't have been mad if he took like a Nick Chubb or a Mike Evans at that pick, and then maybe I would even say, hey, shoot, like a Brady or even a Cousins a little bit later. I just think Matt Ryan, while he's in probably a better situation than he's been, I just think that he's just not an asset in Dynasty that I just want. I'm not there with it yet, but I think he rounded out the wide receivers really well. I think that these guys have, upside. If St. Brown's your wide receiver 3 and Juju's your 4, I think that's serviceable. You could do that with Taylor and McCaffrey leading the way. We got to pray to God that McCaffrey stays healthy. We love to see good guys stay healthy. I think the biggest thing for me is I want to see, talent play like the Mike Thomases of the world. DeAndre Hopkins was hurt last year, and I hate when like really, really good players like die out, like Derrick Henry's and all that. I want to see everybody at their full strength. That just makes the league a lot better, and so we'll see how it goes. But I think he's okay. That, like I said, the only problem I had with it was probably Matt Ryan.
Yeah. So TJ said, love Matty Ice, 2 or 3 more quality years left, and then probably a couple average years. I think Matt Ryan's with 36, 35, somewhere around there.
He's like 34, right? 35, yeah.
Yeah, so he's probably spot on about that. I like his team. I think the running backs, obviously the anchors there with Taylor and McCaffrey. Quarterback play will be solid, at least for the next 2-3 years with Matt Ryan and Hurts. And then the receiver game.
37.
37, okay. Yeah. So he's probably got 2 years left there in that system, especially. And so the receivers kind of mid to me, but when you got to balance with that running attack, I can't be too mad. So probably give him about 6.5, 7 out of 10 on that roster.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, you got Taylor, you got McCaffrey. If it's really all dependent on McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, then this team can be a contender. I do like the upside. I like Bateman a lot. Right, they vacated a lot of targets over there. That was somebody I had on my queue. I had him queued up. Bateman is really talented, and and I do like it. Right, I'm a little higher on Matt Ryan. He was actually somebody I was targeting. Right, when I seen him go is what queued me up to just snatch up Brady because he was like it was between those two.
That makes sense. Man. That makes sense.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson. That wide receiving core is pretty crowded with now a rookie quarterback. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, right? Did they pick up his?
They're probably not going to. That's why they got Pickens.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. I do like the Bateman pick. And even
I like Deontay, man. I think that he's upgrading at quarterback, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
even when he leaves, he's gonna be he'll go to a better situation,
I
or at
think,
least similar.
so. I think Deontay is good enough. I think Mitchell and Pickett are better right now than Ben Roethlisberger, and I think talent wins out, and Deontay is still the best receiver on that team.
All right. Bet. Well, let's move on to the next team. Obviously, it's mine. I'll let you guys. I'll let you guys talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. I like my team. I think it's a good setup. But everybody likes their team in Dynasty or when you draft. So it'd be good to hear it broken down. I got Pat Mahomes, Najee Harris, Devontae Adams, Kamara, Kittle, Mike Evans, D Hop, Cooper, and Sutton. Talk about it, fellas.
Yeah, I mean, your team is strong, right? You got a lot of proven people on here, right? So, I mean, it's strong, right? I mean, you got a window of about 2-3 years with a lot of these guys. Who do you got planned to snatch up as your QB2? That's like the big question right there. I do like the fact that you got a top tight end with this mix of some good running backs. Kamara is somebody I wanted to get as well, but just the whole lingering. So this is my thing on Kamara, right? So you got, there's just a lot of question marks, right? I mean, the talent's definitely there. We know what Kamara can do, but you got a situation he could face suspension, but even coming back from suspension, how do you think the fact that the new coaching regime is in there, like, how do you think that's going to impact them?
So here's my quick 2 cents on Kamara, and the reason why I took him. It was obviously the fall was important to me. Like he fell to the 4th round. That's just a lot of talent to be there in the 4th round. But my thought is, even if he misses 6 games, for me, I still got him playoff ready. Like Kamara is still going to be a playoff factor. They just re-signed him to a 5-year. They got him a 5-year extension, so he's all the way out until he's like 31. Dude's 26 right now, and he's not your typical running back. Kamara is not. You're going to carry the ball 25 times. Tons of red zone work, all carries. He's more of a receiver than he is even a running back. He has 4,000 rushing yards, 3,000 career receiving yards. So to me, he's not taking the same punishment as a running back. I look at it as, hey, maybe I might miss 4 to 6 games if he gets suspended. But outside of that, you get a top running back for the low, it felt like. So that was the reasoning behind the pick.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that, locking in a running back that's on contract, it's going to be hard for a team to fade him, really. And he is a guy that doesn't take a lot of pounding. I wouldn't say he's a true workhorse, but for fantasy, he's exactly what you need. I think he's an elite guy that catches the ball, efficient or in the red zone, just has the vision, has the elusiveness, the speed, the catching, like I said. I think is a great pick in the 4th round for you, and your team is built to win now.
Yeah,
I do worry about what happens if Mahomes goes down for a few games. What's going to happen? You got Hopkins and you got Kamara, both. Hopkins is already locked in a suspension. Kamara is probably going to get one. So, can you go 3-3 in those 6 weeks? That's the thing. Can you go 3-3? If you can, then you're a shoo-in for the playoffs and you're a deadly team. If you go, 1-5, good night.
Good night. Well, that's the question. Smooth is asking, man. Hopkins and Kamara are both too risky to have on your teams, and I think I play the game a little riskier than most. You guys know that, obviously, but a lot of people out there who are looking like, man, it's a lot of risk. To me, risk wins championships, and it also can lose you games. But to me, I feel like in order to have a team that is deadly, like Dan said, in the playoffs, you want to take some risk and take chances. And when people are fading, a lot of times that's the time where you go by. So. To me, it was too much talent to just leave at those picks. That's why I made the picks, man.
Just to throw it in one more, just the last second tidbit here. You also got somebody that's healthy, technically, for the first 6 weeks. No pounding, no wear and tear on the body.
Yeah.
And so now you have from week 7 on a guy that's really fresh.
We saw that with Zeke a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So. TJ said the all suspension team with Kamara and Hopkins. Who said you were making the playoffs? Let's move on to Roto Lounge team, man. Herbert, Saquon Barkley, Joe Mixon, DJ Moore, Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery, AJ Dillon, and Kirk Cousins. I'll start with this one. Give you guys a break from talking, man. And to me, this team loaded at the running back position. I feel like Roto was like, hey, I want to make sure I have backs for the foreseeable future. So got some young backs, got some talented backs right now with Barkley, Mixon, Gibson, and Montgomery just coming in and start right now. And AJ Dillon at some point may take over the backfield maybe next year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, great running backs to have. We are playing PPR, so I have a concern there, but all those backs are pass catching backs too. So I like to see what he does. Very thin at receiver, so I want to see what he does here with the receiving position later on. But two startable quarterbacks, one elite quarterback with Herbert. I like the setup.
Yeah, can't really.
I wish he would have took more receivers though. At least one or two more receivers.
Yeah, that Gibson spot right there. I probably would have went receiver right there. I'm not too high on Gibson, but I mean every other running back you got, I'm really high on. This Herbert pick, right? Like Herbert is, I think, is as high as we have him. I still think that he is really underrated right there, right? I'm extremely high on Herbert. He's got the talent. He's got a savvy coach. He's got he's got a lot of weapons around him. But, you know, I mean, Herbert, in my opinion, can be a fantasy stud. The number one QB really like moving forward. Maybe not this year, but like we can see that 3-4 years down the road, him being like a perennial number one QB. I'm really high on Herbert. I mean, obviously, we got to see what he's going to do at wide receiver. There's still some good ones out there, but I mean, stack that running back. So
every quarterback has a down year though.
Running back position, and you know, I think he's very good at evaluating receivers. So I think he used his own strategy against them. If you follow him on Twitter, you'll know he's very good at evaluating receivers. So he just had to get in his running backs, and then hopefully moving forward, he's just going to stack up on his receivers and trust his own knowledge and process. Again, this is why we created the league. We wanted people in here that have the content creation, the thought process, the knowledge, the skill. This league is like no other, and this draft has proven that, you know, they're going to find out the weak links in this draft for sure.
Yeah, Roto making some good picks, and so we expect to see some of that receiver knowledge coming up. In Lobo, the guy who made a trade with Prabat to get Jamar Chase, stacked there with Burrow and Chase picks, man. Went young. Feel like he went young, but then he took Zeke Elliott, which was kind of confusing to me. I thought he was building it out young. Maybe just like the value there with Zeke. I like this team, but not too much. I feel like it's a mid-tier team with like a chance to make the playoffs. This year, I like it long-term, though. I feel like if long-term was what he's going for, it obviously looks like that. I think he's building some nice pieces there. Obviously got the running backs from this year, Treylon Burks and Drake London. Pair it with Jamar Chase. Stack the receiver for the foreseeable future. Won't have to really address that outside of the later rounds, of course. But I'm not mad at this being a 5-year window type team.
Yeah. For me, sorry, Pete, let me just get this real quick. For me, he is just totally in the youth side. I mean, I don't see him winning this year at all. I just don't see it. He's got to build up. He's got to hope that Burks and London pan out to me. And even ETN really hasn't. I mean, we don't know anything about him at this point. Great prospect, was a Jamal Charles type of prospect. That's what we all thought he would be. But again, he's on the Jags, and what are the Jags doing? We don't know. They're overpaid for Christian Kirk, and now it sent chaos to the NFL. So again, for me, you know, it's an all faith team. Like, I hope it's good. Like,
you said, all fade,
all faith. Like, please, God. Help me. Like, that's how I feel, dog. Like, I mean, I hope he's right.
You can't really, fade for 3 years though. Like, in 3 years, that's going to be a dope ass team. Like, I mean, I get it. I get what he's doing. Like, he's trying to build for the future. He's going to get them all in their primes. That's what he's trying to do. But like, to say all fade though, you're fading every player that he has on there.
I'm fading it based on who he could have picked at each spot. I'm thinking, because look, you have two rookies right now, like 2 rookie receivers. We've never seen them in the NFL. We have no idea if they're going to be good or not. Again, like we don't know. So Drake London, to me, I'm fading Drake London. I like the Traylon Burks pick. I actually like him as a prospect. I'm high on him. But London, I mean, you're only liking him because one, he's a first rounder and he went to a team with no wide receiver one because Ridley's out. But as soon as Ridley comes back, London's going to be to the shadow realm, and Pitts is still the alpha there. So I don't know. I'm fading this. I'm fading this team. Zeke's not going to be there for the next. Like he may have this last year, and then it's Dunzos for Zeke, and then ETN. Like again, we haven't seen him, so it is on faith.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, the best thing that he's got going for him so far is that one of the top connections, right? Burrow and Chase. I do too like the Burks pick. I'm not too high on Justin Fields either, right? I mean, he has running ability. He has a big arm. But with the new coaching change, I don't know. He just didn't really show anything really
They
to
didn't
me
have
in
any
year
weapons
one.
there either.
I mean, what do they have now, though? Honestly, like, what are their
Daryl
weapons now?
Mooney.
Mooney and Velus Jones, the rookie.
Exactly, right? Like Mooney's what, 5'9", 179, 180, right? Like, I mean, there's upside there. I'm not high. I've never been high on ETN, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To be honest with you, Burrow, Chase, Burks, outside of that, not it's
I
not
like
my thing.
ETN. I like ETN more than people are letting, more than most people, I think, this season. I think he's going to be in a pass catching role. Doug Peterson out there. I think they're going to move on from James Robinson and get ETN a little bit more involved in the passing game. So that's just my personal thought on it. I think startup wise, if you're looking 3 years out, he's got a good foundation. Just some work to do. I know, Pete, you're looking at that first round pick next year, essentially, though, thinking, pay me out. That
I'm
number
right.
one
Maybe
pick might
a
be.
little extra incentive to root against you, Lobo.
It's missing two for 1-2 to the friends of the victim.
Next up, we got Mr. Pape, Brett Pape, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Swift, Brees Hall, T-Law, Godwin, Hawk, Mac Jones, and Devontae Smith. What do you guys think about these squads, man? This squad.
Go ahead, Pete.
You know, it's we're pretty good at running back here. You got a lot of upside in both of those guys, right? You know, I think that this team is mid-tier. I like the Hawkinson pick. I think he fell. You know, you got question marks at T-Law right there at quarterback. What is really Mac Jones's upside, right? Like what really can he do? What is his ceiling? I think it's a little limited in my opinion. You know, this team doesn't really excite me too much outside of the running backs, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm just it's a mid-tier team. I think that he may be in a position where he can get a top 5 rookie pick. You know, for me, it's just I think I'm with you, P, on that one. The Mac Jones one just didn't make sense to me. There's just really no upside with Mac Jones. I mean, he's got to be an outlier and turn himself into Brady before he can be any, because he's not a mobile runner. He's not a runner. They don't have a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. Belichick hasn't proven that he can really draft that way. I do like the rookie there that they drafted, but at the end of the day, it's kind of mid. You know, Godwin's coming off injury. We don't know if he's going to be healthy to start. So with Devontae Smith as your number 1 wide receiver going into a PPR league where you can start 5-6 receivers, I mean, it's just not something that I would like to see. So
and just one more, like you got Kyler Murray's a stud, but I mean he's a little guy. We've seen him in the past 2 seasons get dinged up, and I mean same thing with Swift. I don't know, you know, I mean it just screams mid.
Screams mid, yeah. I'm not too big a fan of this team. Needs some work done, and I went way quarterback heavy in a league where you only start 2 quarterbacks, and you have the option. It's a flex, super flex. Normally want to start 2 quarterbacks there, but you don't have to. You just got one of the quarterbacks chilling on your bench every week when you have one healthy receiver heading into the year. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. We'll see what he does later in the draft. The man who asked for us to rate his team, the man who asked for us to dissect, decided he was going to take every receiver possible. Connor LaPlante, Lamar Jackson, Cooper Kupp, Debo, obviously some heavy hitters there. Waddle, McLaurin, Mooney, Mike Will, Chris Olave, trying to get some youth there. What are you guys' thoughts on Connor's team? Because I know he's dying for us to say it's the greatest team ever, and I don't think that way.
I mean, the kid's stacked at wide receiver, but that's it.
That's
right?
it.
That's it. But I mean, I can see what he's doing, and and Connor's, he's really he approaches it like with tools to trade with, right? And you approach it like that, then this is a good setup for a team, right? But I mean, you went wide receiver rounds 2 through 8, right? Like you're stacked there, but I mean, what else? I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, well, you can start up to 6 receivers if you wanted. Technically, in that
6,
super
you
flex
can
spot,
start 6.
you can start up to 6. So with PPR, typically receivers are going to get you kind of the most bang for your buck. With running backs, it's very hard outside the elite guys to kind of produce what a wide receiver 3 could do for you. And I think all of these guys you're really happy to have as your wide receiver 3, and he's got him at wide receiver 4 on his team with the Terry McLaurin's, the Moonies, Mike Williams, Chris Olave. Any team would be happy to have those guys at least wide receiver 3, and he's still good with them at wide receiver 4 or 5. So, and in Dynasty, wide receivers tend to last a lot longer.
Yes.
He's got some youth. He's got guys on contract. So I see exactly what he's doing. But can he nail at least one running back? He's going to need to do that. He's going to need to do at least one quarterback, because if Lamar Jackson goes down, which again, he's a running quarterback first, and he's very prone to that injury bug, he's going to be in real trouble. Starting David Mills and Winston and all that. That's not going to be good for the team, regardless of how many receivers he can have. He's going to need at least one running back to kind of hold him to a championship, and at least one quarterback that he's got to trust. So we'll see what happens. Cooper Kupp is getting older. I think that in Dynasty he should slow down in the next couple of years, but he's got a youth there, and he knows what he's doing. He picks every pick that he's made has been value. It's been value, and so he will be a top team to compete with.
Not every pick. Every pick. But anyway, I think that these receivers, to me, it just screams like it's all receivers. Like, what else are you doing, man? You have 4 other starting positions right now that are just unaccounted for. Heading into the 10th, he doesn't have another pick until the 10th round. You got to get 2 starting running backs, a starting tight end, and another starting quarterback out of 4 picks. I don't care if you have those in the 10th or 11th round or not. And you're taking your 6th and your 7th receiver, to me, and it's not like you got stud receivers and just had to make that move. It was Mike Williams, who we saw struggle at times and be inconsistent last year. Chris Olave, who's a nice rookie, but probably could have got a different rookie later this year. And Mooney, who's an okay receiver, but like you said, Pete, undersized, probably going to be taken over by an alpha receiver next year at some point. So to me, and Terry McLaurin is with the suspect quarterback right now in Carson Wentz. So to me, this didn't scream like, oh, this is just a great draft. It seemed like, hey, I need to get some receivers and I value the position. But this draft doesn't scare me at all. This team is an injury away from a backup running back, away from being irrelevant. So I'm not too scared of this team. Moving on to Coach Bruce. Dak Prescott, Kyle Pitts, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Zack Wilson, Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, and Leonard Fournette. What you guys thinking?
Go ahead, Pete.
I do like this pick. I do like this team, rather, right? I mean, you got probably a top 1 or 2 dynasty tight end. You got Tyreek Hill still in his prime. You got DK Metcalf, who may not have a quarterback, but I like the fact that they're going to be playing from behind without a defense there. So he should see a lot more targets. The Garrett Wilson pick, I'm not too high on Josh Jacobs, but I think he made up for that with the Fournette pick for at least this year, right? I think I'm pretty high personally on Fournette. I could see him as anywhere between RB like 9 or 8 and like 12. So to get him that late, I think is a pretty good value. So far, I like the building blocks of this team. He's got studs, and he's filling out pretty well, right? Top tight end, like I mentioned. I do like this team.
Yeah, I'm going to say that, Dak Prescott, I think that's a homer pick. Huge coach is a huge Cowboys fan, and I think that
Oh,
Dak can be who you need him to be. He's could be a QB1. He has top 5 upside as far as his passing prowess, and a team like that, Zeke will probably trend down. So Dak's going to pass the ball more. Kyle Pitts should be that dude. What he was able to accomplish as a rookie tight end coming in the league at 20 and a half, almost 21 years old. To do that from the tight end position is really uncanny. So I expect Kyle Pitts to cement himself as the number 1 tight end by next year. I mean, he should cement himself as that number 1 dynasty asset. A little dip on Tyreek Hill, but we know he's good. Should be okay. Hopefully they scheme him right. Metcalf, I actually think this is a great pick in the 4th round. To me, I think you're judging it based on talent. They're going to find a QB. I think whether that's Baker Mayfield or whatnot, or next year maybe Seattle has a horrible season and they get a top pick, and the quarterbacks next year are going to be lit. I really enjoy 2023's quarterbacks, and I think that if Metcalf gets paired with that, he's fine. His value just becomes right where it needs to be, and he's probably a 2nd to 3rd round dynasty pick. Zack Wilson, like I said, me and Justin kind of fading Zack Wilson, but if he does turn out, again, the Jets are surrounding with talent. He's got no excuse. So that could be an upside pick at your QB2. And then he stacked it with Garrett Wilson. So I see why you picked Garrett Wilson. Get that stack with the Wilsons. And then Jacobs, you're not really high on him at all. But actually for 2022, I'm really high on him. I think that the Raiders having Devontae Adams scares a lot, and I think that Jacobs is going to be in for a lot of touchdowns. I think the offense is very hard to beat with Waller, Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, and now Devontae Adams, and of course my man Brian Edwards, who's the number 1 receiver. No, just kidding. But I think that Fournette and Jacobs, I think it's a good 1-2 punch. I think that they're good. They're both good enough for 10 touchdowns, 900 to 1,000 yards.
What do you think about them not picking up Jacobs' 5th year?
Well, I think it's telling they didn't pick up Jacobs' 5th year, and I also think it's telling that
I think that hey, that's fine. He's on a contract year now, so Jacobs has everything to prove this year, and I think it's still a good thing for the Raiders as far as his fantasy output. I think the offense is going to get better with Devontae Adams, and so they're going to be in more scoring situations. So I like Jacobs for this year only. In Dynasty, I'm probably fading him, and I'm probably taking his rookie back.
Dan, the cup half full type of guy, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys,
all right,
have at it.
Last team, man. There it is. Justin Jefferson, Trey Lance, Eckler, Andrews, Chubb, Pittman, Brady, James Cook, and George Pickens. P, my man, what's up? Talk to us.
I mean, you guys know how I draft, right? You guys already know I'm a huge Eckler fan, right? Let's get it, baby. But thinking about that, I'm thinking about taking pieces in top offenses, right? So I thought Eckler was a good pick. I'm high on Trey Lance, right? Huge upside. I needed a top tight end. When I'm deciding between Andrews at that pick in the 4th round, it was between Andrews, Metcalf, and Kamara. Right. So ultimately, I thought that, I'll let everybody else fight for one of the other remaining tight ends, whether it's Kittle or whether it's Hawkinson. Let me just go ahead and secure like a top 2 tight end in Dynasty. With the Nick Chubb pick, I'm really high on Nick Chubb, especially if Watson is there. I just think that Watson opens up that offense, makes for less stacked boxes. So you're going to see, he may not catch a lot of balls, but you're going to definitely see that team on the 5-yard line very often, right? And that's where Nick Chubb shines. So, with that Cook pick right there in the 7th round, personally, I wanted to go. I was thinking about going wide receiver. And I also am really high on Cook. I like his upside in that top offense. I was expecting one of the other wide receivers to come back to me, but literally Coop, Michael Thomas, Robinson, Brown, Olave, and then comes to my next pick, and I'm like, those are all guys I had queued up. So, I'm not mad at Pickens. You get some upside there. But I mean, I like my team. I'm not overly excited, but I think that's a good trait to have, right? If you're not overly excited about your team, you're always looking to improve. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll go ahead and start it off. For me, I think it's solid in a sense that you have great pieces. Justin Jefferson, dominant wide receiver. You lock him in your wide receiver one, forget about it, set it and forget it. Mark Andrews, I think, still. Bateman hasn't really proven himself. He's all hype at this point still. Mark Andrews should be a target hog in that offense, and Lamar Jackson loves him. So I like Mark Andrews as a top 3 tight end moving forward in the next 3 to 5 years. He's young. I like Mark Andrews. I think that Pittman, though, it's his show now. So can he ascend to a level that we think he can? I'm not really sure if he has that talent in him, but as your wide receiver too, it's not bad. Pickens is pure upside at this point. You have a lot of targets to go through in 2022. I like his talent. I think that he can be that guy. I ranked him really high in rookie drafts. I got a lot of flack for that on TikTok, but I really do think he's probably the best receiver in the class over a Drake London, over a Traylon Burks, personally. So to get him that far when I see Drake London, be in the 3rd round or wherever he was, I think it's great value. But you picked a few guys that I just feel like, man, again, it goes back to the faith. Like, are we faith in Trey Lance? Faith in a James Cook, faith in a George Pickens. Like, we have no idea about these guys. And then you pick Tom Brady, which I'm okay with because he's good for 35 to 40 touchdowns in his final year. Like, the NFL is rigged. So it's a storybook for him. Tom Brady should dominate once again just because that's who he is. He's the GOAT. And but at the same time in Dynasty, man, he's probably just a one-hit wonder. So I'm kind of again, I think it's a mid to a high tier team in that range. If you make the playoffs, I'm still not scared of you. I'm gonna beat you. So
you mean when I make the playoffs, baby? Come on, man. Let's get this.
Yeah,
bread,
man.
baby.
I think for the squad, bro, I feel like he kind of went like all over the place. Like, you got some young, you got some high. It's almost too balanced. So I'm curious to see which direction you lean, because a lot of times in Dynasty you want to lean more so one way or the other. Like, you either want to kind of stack for a couple years down the line, or you want to try to win now. It's almost like you want to pick one side instead of straddling both sides. And it feels like you went really young with like Lance and Pickens and Cook, and then you kind of went older with Brady, but you got some some like mid prime talent. So to me, I'm curious to see what your build is, and if you're trying to play for now or if you're trying to build a little bit for the future since you got that pick. But overall, I ain't too mad at the team. It'll be a playoff team, I think. Moving on to Will's team, Fantasy's Finest. And I'm looking at this team. It doesn't look like there's many picks, man. He's traded all his picks away. So CeeDee Lamb, Aaron Rodgers, Henry Cook, Aaron Jones, some familiar names, of course, and then younger guys at the receiver position with Jamison Williams and Christian Watson there. Obviously CeeDee Lamb too. So to me, I think this was a guy just getting his guys. It seems like he has players that he likes, and he's traded back. He's traded around to try to get guys that he likes. I'm not really scared of this team right now, but to me, there's potential there building blocks wise, depending on what he does with the additional acquired picks.
Yeah, I just think that it's a little bit older, especially at the running back position. I think Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry on their way out. Dalvin could probably salvage you maybe 2 to maybe 3 years, but Aaron Rodgers getting up there, Henry and Jones, the running back position, it's so fast to go off a cliff, like that. I'd rather sell a year early than try to sell a year late. And kind of the Bill Belichick way of thinking, but especially running backs, it's tough. I think that it's so far, we'll see how his deals work, where he's trading back and hopefully getting some value. He's got a few picks coming up, here in the next rounds. So we'll see what happens. You better hope that Jamison Williams from, in the Detroit, that's a tough spot. I like the player, just hate the spot. It's tough. to see if he can really do anything fantasy wise for you. He's going to have a couple of big games, but I don't know how consistent he's going to be. And then Watson again has everything you're looking for from a prospect standpoint, but is he too raw? Is Aaron Rodgers going to, what is he going to do with Aaron Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers needs players that can that is Devontae Adams, that is just a guy that's been there, done that, knows exactly when to. Hey, if Aaron Rodgers looks a certain way, Devontae Adams knows exactly where he's going to go. I don't know if he's going to get that with Watson, but he had to pick Watson for the stack. But I mean, who knows with Will, man? I don't know. I could see this team. You got to win this year. If you don't, it's going to be a long 3-4 years for you.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of an underrated stack. I don't think the stack's going to be that effective this year. Maybe not even next year, right? Because typically we'll see Aaron Rodgers pick a guy who has been on the roster for a few years, right? They have to, like you're saying, right, know the nuances of Aaron Rodgers. I do like Derrick Henry. Dalvin, I do like Dalvin as well. There is the injury history. I'm not high on Aaron Jones. I do think that we will see A.J. Dillon take over that starting role here relatively soon. Aaron Jones is one of those guys who, in my opinion, if you look at him, you're like, okay, that's my RB1. And then at the end of the year, he's like, okay, this guy's putting up like RB2, mid RB2 numbers, right? So it's not scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Just in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at too. At least not yet. You never know with these later rounds. That's the thing about dynasty drafts too. You can look at 8 picks and determine who has the best team or who has the best setup, but you can't really tell until the entire draft is complete who really won the draft, quote unquote. Because there's a lot of things that can happen in the back half of the draft that make teams great. So moving on to the next pick, biased opinions: Russell Wilson, Kelsey Carr, Cam Akers, Waller, Judy Connor, and Hollywood Brown. Dan, go ahead, man. Dissect.
All right. I'm going to dissect a little bit. Love number 1. I was hoping Russell would fall to me at 12. So I think Russell, giving him a balanced team, something that, I just think that he's going to be efficient. I don't know if he's going to lead the league in pass attempts. They're not going to let Russ cook, but Russ is just an efficient football player. He's just great. He is a great player, straight up. And to have Judy Sutton, even Tim Patrick and Alberto, I mean, the weapons are there for Russell to do well. I think he puts in a top 8 to top 5 season this year. So, and he's only 33, so I think he's got a good 7 years left. I think he could play till 40. It's just who he is. The Kelsey pick, I think is okay. So now we're to me, it's like, okay, we're winning now. At this point, that we have to win now. We can't divert, right? So I think overall, I think he is picking guys that are not really that young, and trying to win now at this point. But I don't like his receivers. Judy is, again, you're stacking with Wilson. I'm hoping you have good upside, but you don't want to see Judy as your wide receiver 1. And to me, again, I'd like to see Judy as my wide receiver 3. If I can get Judy, that's the kind of value I'd want to see out of Judy. Marquise Brown, I think the last pick is actually a pretty good one. I do enjoy it. I think Brown is a little bit underrated when he came into the league. He's a little undersized, so I don't think he'll ever be like a wide receiver 1. But to get back to his partner and Kyler Murray, and then with Hopkins, 6-game suspension, he should soak up all the targets. So I like Brown in the early weeks. But, Cam Akers and James Conner, I'm not feeling that running back duo, especially for Dynasty. I just hate Conner so much. But
you're not a Cam Akers fan, though?
Cam, I mean, again, I think I liked him as a prospect, but coming off of Achilles, we'll see what happens, man. We just, I don't know. It's a solid team, but just not something that's like I said, it's a mid team for me.
I think I think this team can be sneaky good, right? I mean, especially in the next 2 years. I mean, Kelsey is going to do what he does, especially with no Tyreek there for this year, maybe next year. I do like the Carr pick, right? Because as you know, Carr, they just got Tay. And before that, Carr was a sneaky top 10 quarterback or putting up top 10 production, right? So now he's got his number one alpha wide receiver. A little confused about the Waller pick, right? If you got Kelsey and Waller, because I think having Devontae there is going to take away from Waller's production, and Waller is going to be 30 this year as well. So a little long in the tooth. I do like the Connor pick. I mean, you've seen what Connor was doing, was a touchdown hog there, splitting carries with your boy Chase Edmonds, Jay.
Yeah.
Now there's no Chase Edmonds, and even with that, I think he had. Did Connor have?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like
Had a
30
good year.
catches too.
I
He had
think
a
he chose Waller because he wanted to stack it with Carr. I think he got 2 stacks. He got Wilson and Judy, and he got Carr and Waller. So I don't hate him for that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
do
it's
think
just I think the 2 tight ends, man, it was a little much. And then honestly, like it's not a bad setup. It's not a bad setup. I just feel like a little bit of a reach for Carr. I think Carr will have a big year. But having Judy and Hollywood Brown as your 1 and 2 with the setup that he has, it's not bad. I think Judy is going to be in line for a big year. You're looking at a 1,000-yard receiver right there with potential for more over the next 3 years. So if Judy does hit, this team is actually really balanced, in my opinion, except for that Waller pick. If he would have got, I think you got Keenan Allen right after that. If he would have had Keenan Allen right there with Judy and Hollywood Brown and the mix that he had, that would have been a pretty scary team, in my opinion. So, like Pete mentioned, the only real slip up was that Waller pick. Outside of that, I like this team, man.
I will say there's a little bit of a reach on Akers too. Yeah, he's coming off an Achilles. He's young, but I mean, look at the running backs that went after him. You had Cook, you had Kamara, you had Chubb still on the board. I don't know. I think he could have came back around and got Akers in that next pick. But
Dan, I'm trying to scroll over to your team, but it's not, for some reason I can't figure this thing out, man. So
Yeah, no worries. John Watson, Stafford, T. Higgins, Diggs, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Thomas, and A-Rob round out my team. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it. Basically, like I said, the first 2, we kind of touched on it earlier. Again, I just wanted to lock in 2 quarterbacks that I felt like, again, have the contract, have the weapons, and have proven themselves as an elite asset at the quarterback position. With quarterbacks, 6 points a touchdown. Unfortunately, we kind of had to do that. A little bit of a reach there. Like I said, yeah, would have liked Jamar Chase in a regular league. Probably would have taken him there, but I just needed to lock in 2. As far as my receivers go, I think I locked in the receivers. I think that, having Higgins, who's really young, locked in a Burrow. If Chase were ever to go down, Higgins would dominate the role. He still, to me, has the ability to be a wide receiver 1 on the team, even with a Chase. Both of them can dominate. I think Burrow can carry both of them to wide receiver 1 status. Diggs, I think he's locked in with Josh Allen. Little bit of a homer pick, but at the same time, Diggs to me is an elite option at the wide receiver position. Josh Allen, and then Keenan Allen with Herbert. Keenan's been super efficient over the years. Gives me that win now, wide receiver that I was looking for. J.K. Dobbins to me has, of the running backs left, I think J.K. Dobbins has the upside of an RB1. I think he has the upside to hit 1,500 yards, 10 to 15 touchdowns. He has that ability. I think he's the only one outside of what was remaining that really has the youth, has the fact that the Ravens didn't really draft anyone that would scare me, that would make me think that they don't like the offseason progress of a J.K. Dobbins as far as coming back from an ACL. So to me, I think the Ravens put in a lot of faith. They didn't really draft wide receiver, so I think they're going to go run heavy. And then, of course, Mike Thomas and A-Rob. I wanted to stack A-Rob and Stafford to just get that stack. And then, like I said, Mike Thomas is proven. He just needs to come over the injury.
Yeah, I really like this team, right? I mean, it's scary, right? I mean, you got 2 quarterbacks. I mean, let's hope that Watson doesn't get suspended. But both of them, you could book 35 plus touchdowns. I do like the Higgins fifth youth, a big red zone target there for Burrow. Of course, Diggs is going to do what he does, Mr. Consistent in a high potent offense. Keenan Allen, as your wide receiver 3 is good. The only thing I would really say is that Dobbins pick, if you're looking at running back there, personally, I would have went Montgomery because there is youth, but then there's still like a catching ability, right? He is, he's going to catch his rocks. But I mean, outside of that, I have no issues with it. I had, like I mentioned, I had Mike Tom and Aaron and Robinson right there queued up. You got that wraparound pick, you snagged them both. So, I mean, I think you got a really scary team.
Yeah, this team looks balanced to me. Depends on what you do at the running back position because J.K. Dobbins is coming off of an injury. They did just sign Mike Davis. I know he's not really a threat, but obviously there might be some concern still with, is he going to be fully healthy, ready to rock when the season starts? Michael Thomas still working on, his ankle situation too. So just a couple of injury concerns, kind of the risk factor though, the risk reward, because if those guys pan out and they are playing week one, that's the kind of team you want to build. That's the kind of stack that you want to have. So like I mentioned earlier with my team, I think when you take risk, there's an element of that. If it doesn't work out, you're in trouble. But if it does work out, you're set. And I feel like you manage that pretty well. Only thing, like you mentioned, Dan, only thing I would have done differently was Jamar Chase at that spot instead of Stafford and then probably grabbed a quarterback later. But I can't hate the setup, man. It looks good. Did well for that 12 pick.
Man, it's tough, man. That 12 pick is nasty, bro. It's hard.
I love those wraparound picks.
Because you kind of you might be better because you get to kind of set the tone right there too. Like a lot of times when you picked receiver, it's been a receiver run or what I mean? Like the quarterbacks was like everybody needs to get their second quarterback now throughout the second round. So I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, it'll work. I'll take it.
Looks like we had a pick just come in. Sky Moore was just picked.
Oh, who got him?
Sky Moore was just picked in our draft right here at this position. The 9th round has started. We have given our thoughts. What are your guys' thoughts on the team? Let us know in the comments. You guys got anything else for the draft before we head out?
We just had a trade too. Lobo and disposable
Lobo
Coop.
Oh, so that was Lobo pick Sky Moore.
Okay.
Well, hey, we got more. We can revisit this. Let's come back either in a few rounds or depending on how fast it is after the draft. Make sure you guys are following along, and we got Dynasty content, redraft content coming to you all summer. Fantasy gods, y'all got anything else?
Nah, we out.
Nah, man, tune in. If you want to win your leagues, baby, we got you.
Let's get it.